career, and she doesn't even work as like a model or anything. She just like works in like an office, and she's like, yeah, the second I got more attractive, people took me more seriously. I got promoted, like, and hearing that, I was like, wow, okay, like that's really happening, like, to people. So looking at that, I was sort of like, okay, what are the potential solutions, or like what can we do going forward? And you guys might have heard of one sort of movement called like body positivity, which people have kind of often heard the buzzword, but they don't really know what it means. So the original idea was conceptualized by black women for black women, but it's been like massively co-opted by mainstream media now. And it's the idea that like those beauty standards that we have, we should be changing them so that more people fit under the beauty standard, so that we can say everybody's beautiful, and like the ways that we look unique make us all attractive in different ways. And research has sort of shown that following body positive accounts like on social media, or even just talking in a way that's body positive, does really benefit most people's body image. Like, it's a good thing. But there are also some really big issues within the movement that's kind of glossed over, or they're less talked about, which is some of what I'm really passionate about, like those issues that exist. So the first one is the fact that body positivity now has almost become like a marketing tactic for companies, whereby, like, if you think of that, there was like a Dove campaign like 10 years ago that really set it off, where they were like, our products are for everybody, we're going to have models of like all different shapes and sizes, etc. And it was great because it meant people like became familiar with body positivity. But then it also suggested, if you want to be body positive, you need to buy Dove's products. And the idea that like being positive about your body involves buying beauty products to make you more beautiful is like inherently not it, right? Like, it's a bit of a paradox. So that's one issue, is that it's being like sold to people to sell beauty products. The second issue is that for a lot of people, body positivity isn't particularly helpful if they have grown up feeling like they're stigmatized or they're discriminated against because they're not meeting that beauty standard. If they're like, oh, you know, I'm not conventionally attractive, and the idea of like just waking up and going, love the skin you're in, is like not as helpful as recognizing that there is a stigma and that it's real. And it kind of like takes away from the voices of those people to be like, oh, we're all beautiful equally, because it's just not reality right now. Right now there is a hierarchy. And so acknowledging that could potentially be beneficial, which is where body neutrality comes in. It's like a newer movement and something I really believe in, which is the idea of like, instead of saying that everybody's beautiful and just running with that, instead, why don't we say like, why do we value beauty so highly? Like, if someone's less beautiful or more beautiful, does it matter? Like, there are so many more things to people than just the way that they look, and so many things we should like value ourselves for. So you could wake up and go like, I don't love my body, I don't like how I look, but I love that I'm kind and I love that I'm good at whatever, and have that list of things that you can build your self-worth on. And then suddenly the fact that you feel like you're not attractive doesn't matter as much. So yeah, moving more like towards that space is like a potential way forward. And I guess basically the summary to take away from all that shit I just said is that pretty privilege is so real, and it's happening like for everyone all the time. The best thing we can do is like, we're obviously not going to fix it individually for society, but we can fix it in our homes, we can try and fix it in our friendship groups. And so it might look like, when you're interacting with people, just asking yourself like, am I making assumptions about them because they're attractive? Am I assuming that they're really good at their job just because I think they're hot? Or are they actually demonstrating that they're good at their job? Those kinds of things. The second takeaway is like, if you're not already engaging with like body positivity or body neutrality, if you're on social media, just searching them, like Instagram, TikTok, whatever. If you're not on social media, even just like jumping on Google, but just looking into those movements like really helps people, and finding the one that works for you can be like really, really beneficial for body image. And lastly, this is a bit of like a rant that I give to people all the time, but society is basically designed to make us all feel like shit about the way that we look. Like, the beauty industry makes so much money. It's like a multi-billion-dollar industry. And they can't make money if we feel good and we don't need their products. So keeping in mind that on the days where you feel really bad about yourself because of how you look, it's not a personal failing, it's because that's how you're meant to feel. That's like how society has made us all feel. And like taking it one step at a time, just trying to challenge that bit by bit.
So when you're talking about the beauty movement, the body movement on Instagram, what do you mean?
So I've actually, can you grab me some of those flyers? Sorry. So I've got these. Basically, like, these are on Instagram, but they're also like on TikTok and Twitter, and like people that you can follow where instead of your feed being full of like Instagram models, you get these little like affirmations or videos of people like talking about the movements and being like, oh, this is why the beauty industry sucks, or like, this is why we should all reject it.
Interesting.
Yeah, so when you wake up and check your phone, rather than being like, I feel bad because I don't look like this, you wake up and it's like, yeah, fuck the beauty industry. Like, it's a bit of a positive start to the day.
And it's so interesting when you mentioned that you did the experiment in Australia.
Yeah.
And because this is a so diversified culture, and I discussed about this with some classmates because they're from other countries too. And the people from India, they told me, like being white is beauty. In China, being white, they're like Asian. Being white is beauty. That's why every time we go out, we use umbrella and the sun anyway. But in here, like being tan, it's beauty.
Yeah, truly. It's like, I think in Australia at least, you have to be just tanned enough where you're like still white, but the darkest white that you can be. And it's very strange. I don't know why that is the way it is. I think it's because we're like a bit of a beach culture, and so it's associated with being like outdoorsy, but
I think they remind me another psychology theory behind this. I just heard this morning. It's people always look for something they don't have.
yeah, that too. And so I think we kind of, if you're getting sick of just like normal whiteness, everyone was like, what's the new thing? We're going to be like tanned white.
Yeah, like we were tanned in China, but we want to be white.
Yeah, and I know it's like literally the opposite culturally, hey, because it's like the skin whitening creams in like a lot of Eastern cultures, and then in Australia, like the fake tan creams. And I'm like, why do these products both exist and they both make so much money?
Yeah, you're right. So when you did the experiment, the sample you chose, are they like mixed people from all different backgrounds, or are they all local?
Yeah, off the top of my head, I think it was about 60% white. And then,
That's why.
yeah, because it was an American sample, and it's a problem in science, honestly, because most of the samples in science are white. That's kind of like a whole other speech that I have, but it's easiest to recruit white people because they have the time to like go and do like psych experiments because they're not working as much or don't have like childcare demands. But anyway, yeah, it was mostly white. We did manage to get like 40% people of color, and we were like, oh, it's a start. But yeah, there's a lot of researchers who look into like, because basically everyone in Australia focuses on like Western beauty standards or like Australian beauty standards, but there are a lot of researchers from overseas who look at like the same thing in Eastern cultures, which is great, but we obviously have a much bigger platform, unfortunately.
Yeah, and it's so interesting. Yeah, I love to find it out.
Yeah.
Everyone think of that.
Yeah. What do you do? You said you're a student?
We study here Bachelor of Business Technology.
Oh, cool. So not body image, but
No, but it's so interesting.